Good morning, everybody. It's Cody here. So I'm wondering how many people have the same feeling every day. They're 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever age, and they wake up every day and they go to their 9 to 5 and they think to themselves, like, what am I doing, man? Same thing every single day. Nothing changes. You put the same clothes on. You do the same routine every single day. And then you get on social media and you see people enjoying all the luxuries to life. They don't have to worry about money. They don't have to worry about anything. And here you are struggling for everything that you do in life. And your job that you spend a third of your day at hardly pays for you to survive every week. Just to live is what you work for. And I think it's pretty crazy that, you know, the system out here is it's wild. It's a wild system. Some people break out of it, some people don't, and then a lot of times when people break out of it, they just kind of they act like the people that aren't broken out of it are just wrong and are just stupid and they're just not motivated enough. And don't get me wrong, there are a ton of people that are just lazy, that don't want anything, that want to just do nothing, have nothing, be nothing. Of course those people exist. But there's plenty of exceptions. I'd like to say, like myself, that, you know, feel like they were born the wrong place, wrong time, wrong everything. And it's hard, man. It's really hard when you feel that way and you feel you shouldn't be where you're at. But you know why you're where you're at. You realize that, you know, your lack of discipline and your lack of knowing puts you where you're at. Your lack of understanding, the education that you were taught ever since you were a kid, the things you were taught, you know, those little things added up and put you and kind of put you in the place that you're at. And it took me a very long time to see that. You know, I lost my daughter 2 years ago. I lost her, close to 2 years now, February 14th, 2024. And, you know, without that happening, I think I would still be just playing video games all day long with no thought for the next chapter of life. And it's hard, man. It's hard out here. It's very hard. You know, everyone's working a job that's draining them. You know, you got no energy left when you get off work. You probably got a ton of other things going on in your life. And to worry about making money is very difficult, especially if you don't know what to do. And I watch a lot of rich people speak, and a lot of them are just like, they've just distanced themselves from the poor, the lower class and the middle class. They've distanced themselves so much that they think that, you know, it's just a matter of, you know, lack of motivation and other things. But in reality, it's very, very hard to beat the system, because the system has plenty of layers. So even if you get to the next layer in the system, you get trapped by another layer. There's always people above you that are competing, that make it harder and harder. So honestly, I feel like the people that make it, they're either, well, there's just, I'm not going to go into that. There's a ton of things like that. But honestly, you just kind of, I guess the only thing you can really do is you got to kind of figure out what you want. Like, what is it? Like, what is it that you want to accomplish while you're here? Because, this generation or your generation or the people that are here right now in 2025, you know, this is it. This year, 2025, this is it, man. And then life goes on. We're all just getting older. You just watch people get older and older, And hopefully you don't just do the same thing every single day for the rest of your life, and you just get old and you just look back and you just have a ton of regrets, because that's never good. And that's definitely not what I want. I'm 29 now, and I feel like I wasted so many years of just learning myself. And I wouldn't really say it's wasted in the sense that, you kind of have to build a person. It's like we're all born with a fresh slate, and then we just get hit with a million different things that just form this human being of thoughts and memories, scars and willpower and all these different things, and that person is who you are. And it's pretty interesting. It's almost like, it's just like you're just a vessel of a bunch of different experiences. But I think there's a ton of us that have a lot of ambition and a lot of willpower to, and we have a lot of dreams and stuff. And I think a lot of people don't ever get to reach those dreams because they're just buried behind stress and working every day and thinking about how they're gonna get money for something. And it's a struggle, man. And I'm glad that I got to see this side of the spectrum, because if I was born rich, I would have never known what it was like to feel the dependency on money so much. Like when you're rich, when you're born into richness, I'm sure, I have never been born into richness, but I'm sure you don't quite understand what it's like to not have any money. And the simple things of worrying about just what you're gonna eat, and you don't want to spend too much money on food. You don't do certain things because of the money. You know what I mean? And I think there's so many people in this world that never even get to experience that lack of money. And I think it teaches you some very valuable core lessons. And I think it's good to experience, both, of not having money and then eventually having money, because it's different. It's entirely different lifestyles. And I think in order for you to really control money and to be grateful and to really use it for the right things, I think it's always good to have experience, the pain of not having it. And, I'm 20, like I said, I'm 29, and that's all I've ever been doing is we've all been struggling for money, my entire family. It's like it's never been freedom. It's always it's like when you're poor, your entire life is just revolving around making money. This post office that I work at, people come here and get in these mail trucks, and let's say it's a hot ass summer in Maryland. They go out there and they burn up in these trucks and deliver mail just because that's all they can do. There's not enough time in the day to really do anything, to change anything. It all depends. Everyone's got a little different situation going on, but a lot of people have kids, and then they start to value their children more than making it for themselves. And then they'll drop that and they'll spend their entire life raising their child, and then the system just repeats because they never learned entrepreneurship. They never learned leverage. All they've ever known is just look for a job and basically barely make it, and then you fall into credit card traps. You fall into you get car payments, you have phone bills, electric bills, you got all these different bills, and then your job is paying just enough to cover those bills. And so you're basically working just to live, and the only way to break that system is to gain some type of leverage over your time, which is 1 hour can translate to hundreds of thousands of dollars, because because time isn't regulated by an hourly pay. Like when you work a regular job, you're getting paid 20, 30, 40 an hour only. There's no changing that. There's no selling something for a higher price. There's no leverage, and that's why the system works so well. And most people are just just too uneducated to ever come up with something to break the system. And I think, I'm not going to sit here and say everyone should be rich, but I think especially in America, with all the money that we have, I feel there should be a very healthy baseline, that so there's not, I don't think in America there should be people on the streets dying and completely addicted to drugs and stuff like that. I feel there's, we're not, I don't want to get too into that, because that turns very political very fast. But I think there needs to be more humanity in this world and this country. And I live in America, so I can speak on America a little more than most places. But yeah, there needs to be more humility in this world, people caring about others a little bit more. And even like the rich, instead of putting down the poor and saying they don't work hard enough and they're too dumb, and they go to work every day because they're stupid. It's like, not all of us are stupid that we come to work every day. Some of us were, like, my situation is, I was raised by my grandmother, who has zero business education. She has no idea how money works. And that's the only person that's ever taught me anything. And so the only way I was ever going to learn anything was, if someone actually sat down and really tried to teach me something, and that never happened. So what had to happen was, I had to go through a traumatic life event and then learn myself and figure out how money worked, because I know that's the world's biggest problem for me. It's always been my life's biggest problem. Like, I look at my grandmother, and she's done nothing but take care of her grandchildren and her children. That's all she's gotten to do her entire life, because she worked as a bus driver, and that just paid the bills enough to survive, and that's all she could do. She didn't know anything else. And a lot of people are not, they're not, I wouldn't say everyone's smart in their own way, but some people just aren't smart enough to do the research, and some people just don't have it. Some people are meant to be very good providers and caretakers, and that's what they're really good at. They're better than other people at that. And for me, it kills me. I watch my grandmother. She's 70 years old now, and she spent her entire life just taking care of her grandchildren and her children, and taking care of me my entire life. And she never really got to have a life for herself. And now I'm watching her kind of wither away, and it sucks, man. It really does suck. It sucks to see that happen, that a system can be so strong that someone spends their whole life, basically just making people money. I mean, bus driver, whatever job it is, if you're not the owner, all you're doing is just making the owner money, and you're just spending your time to make the owner money. And then, the trap is in full force. You hardly have any money to live, so you're going to go to that job every day in desperation, and you're just going to struggle your entire life until you do something differently. And it's hard. It's very difficult. And that's the thing, is I can definitely sympathize with how hard it is. I've been working some type of 9-to-5 since I was 16, and I do have a business now, and I'll make another video on that. It's this video is getting a little long at 15 minutes, but I did start my own little business, and I'm really hoping that gets me to the next chapter in life. A little bit of freedom is really all I'm asking for, to where I don't have to think about money anymore. Me and my wife can go out to eat and not care anymore. I haven't been out to eat in years because I just don't want to spend $70, $80, $90, $100. And yes, you're normally spending that if you go to a nice restaurant. And I'd love to do that. I'd love to be able to take her out. And I wear 3 pairs of pants every day for this post office, because I spend all my time on the business, and I really just don't want to spend the time to go and shop for clothes and put myself in an even worse spot. So I wear the same clothes every day. I basically wear the same shoes every day. I have we have a place near us that you can get shoes pretty cheap, 20, 30, 40 bucks. And but it's definitely hard out here, and it just sucks that the system is this tight to where there's people like myself and a ton of others who have it in them to really do something great in this world. It's just they're just trapped behind layers and layers and layers of just whatever you want to call it, man. I'm not going to sit here and say it's capitalism or anything. I don't get into that stuff. That's just drama. Whether it is or it isn't, it's not going to fix my problem. But it does suck that the system is it's very difficult. I was raised in trailer parks my entire life. And again, never taught a single thing about leveraging money or debt or anything. I fell into the credit card debts, got car payments, all kinds of goodies. I've kind of learned, I've kind of made all the mistakes you can possibly make with money. So it's at 29 years old, I'm just sitting here trying to dig myself out. And like I said, I do have a business now, and that's going pretty well. It's been doing that, and in my last video I said I was recovering for like 3 to 4 months after my daughter passed, and what ended up happening was I ended up finding an opportunity that every day of my life I was thinking about, how do I make money? How do I make money to change my situation? Because what it really was I was in so much pain from my daughter. I wanted to fix the only thing that I could fix that also was causing me pain, which was money. And so I learned about selling on Amazon, and I don't want to go too deep into what I do on Amazon. I feel it doesn't benefit me to do that. But I started learning how to sell on Amazon, and the story goes from there. I've been doing it ever since, never stopped. And I am doing everything I can to have that get me out of this post office job and give me and my wife freedom, and hopefully start a family, and kind of live the American dream, as you say. Do a little bit of traveling and have a nice house, maybe a jacuzzi to rest in. I've been in a jacuzzi one time in my entire life, and I always fantasize about just sitting in a jacuzzi, not having to go to work. And I think these fantasies are what keeps me motivated and stops me from giving up, is just thinking about having a really beautiful house and something to tell myself, like, Cody, you made it. Like, I've been living in trashed trailers my entire life. The trailer I live in right now, I got leaks all around the house. I got decaying wood on the porch everywhere, to where I have to replace a bunch of things at some point in my life, which I don't know if I'll ever get to. Rather just pay someone, but don't have the money for that. But yeah, it's just I've been driving the same car for 7 years, man. For 7 years, dude. I'm 29. I've been driving the same car for 7 years. I've only had 3 cars in my life. You know how sick and tired I am driving the same car? So yeah, these things keep me motivated, and doing the best I can. I'm definitely in one hell of a hole from just bad decisions, and just really what it came down to was, every day the only thing going through my mind was playing video games, playing Call of Duty, and playing League of Legends, being really deep into RuneScape, which I'm still playing. I still play RuneScape on the side while I'm doing my business, but I'm very non-active on it. And I know whenever I start sitting there not doing my business, I literally will just close RuneScape out. So I'm at that point. And RuneScape's the only game that I really is basically the only game that I really spend my time playing anymore, because it's a very idle game. Certain things on it are very idle. And I'm trying to keep everything to a minimum. The games that I used to play, let's say League of Legends, Dead Ups Arcade, things like that, they take a lot of time and energy, and you kind of forget about everything else in the world while you're playing them. So you have to be careful, man. You have to be careful of what games you're playing. You know, you get off work, and I know it's hard. I know you're tired, but you got to figure out a plan. Or you don't. You know, you really don't have to do anything unless you want to do it. But for me, personally, I want a very nice house. I want to live in a different place. I dislike, you know, the place that I live. I dislike the city I live. I dislike the attitudes around me. I want to go to a place where people are happy and people are inventive, people are constructive with the things that they do, the things they say. I want to be around those people, and unfortunately right now I am not around anyone that thinks that way or is that way. Everyone's kind of just, you know, especially at the post office, you know. Let's say this post office I work at has 70 people. I'd say almost all of them, you know, they might act happy and stuff, and some of them may be happy, but most people here are just miserable. Most people hate this job. They do the same thing every day. They don't know how to get out, and I get it, because I mean, quite frankly, I don't know how to get out. I'm doing the best I can to make it out, but it's very difficult to get out. You're competing with a lot of people, and a lot of people just aren't, you know, advanced enough to even compete. And normally, if you have money, you have quite an advantage, especially if you were raised by, you know, entrepreneurs or someone that understands business. I mean, you're going to have a hell of an advantage on someone that was never taught any of that. So it's very difficult to go from poor and I'd say middle class to really getting yourself out, because you're just so used to, you know, that life and that world that you don't even see how to enter into the next world. And really takes discipline and changing your entire life. I've made so many changes in the past year. So many changes, man. I started running at the gym. Never ever have I been a runner, and now I can run miles without being gassed, and it feels really good. I quit soda, drink almost only water now. Every time I eat, I'm normally thinking about what I eat. I make plenty of mistakes. I think last night, me and the wife, I think I had Panda Express, you know, not the healthiest, but, you know, constantly going to the gym every other day, so I burn a lot of calories. So, you know, it ain't too bad, but there's a lot of things I could do better. But I will tell you this, if I had money and I was able to pick what I could eat every day, I probably would make a lot less mistakes with my diet. I think it comes down to just, you know, just not having the time. And I think that's with a lot of people. A lot of people don't have the time to really pick what they want to eat, you know. You know, they're trying to spend that little bit of time that they have, that they're not sleeping or at their job, that 8 hours that's left. They're trying to really optimize that, so they're not, you know, some people just don't really care about the food aspect too much. And it's hard trying to balance all that when you're poor too. Like, yeah, it's very hard. So, hey, I'm going to end this here. If you guys enjoyed my little rant, my little commentary, if this helped anybody, leave a comment. Trust me when I say leaving a comment makes all the difference. It gives me a little bit of it gives me motivation to make more, and I can see that I'm actually helping someone instead of just, you know, making a video that no one cares about. So, you know, I'm making these videos simply to maybe help people out there that, you know, I feel there's a lack of authenticity on YouTube and on every platform at this point. I feel it's all the same shit. It's everything's being marketed in very similar ways. I feel there's just a lack of authenticity in this world, and I want to be the person that's, you know, authentic. Even, I don't know, it'd be cool to be making videos, and then you guys kind of watch me go from walking around at a post office on break to making to being where I want in life. So, all right, guys, the truck just got here. I gotta unload this truck and work for the next 8 hours, get off and do my business. And yeah, that's basically all I do. Just go home and do the business and hope for a different day the next day with the business, you know, just really just grinding the business and waiting for the fruits of my labor. So, yeah, guys, stay strong. You know, spend your time thinking about what's next. Don't spend your time just distracting yourself. And yeah, spend your time thinking about what's next. Use ChatGPT, use AI. We're in a world where you can use AI to help you brainstorm. Give it a bunch of information and have it give you some ideas, you know what I mean? And you know, spend all your time trying to figure out the next step, because that's what really matters. I mean, you're only here for so long, and if you forget that, then you're going to be old and you're going to have a lot of regrets, and regrets are never fun. You know, it's good to have early regrets. We're all going to regret a lot in the beginning because we're learning ourselves and building ourselves, but at a certain point, you know, you gotta stop having so many regrets, because you gotta start doing what you want to do and what's true in your heart, you know. And you got to find that thing, whatever it may be. Every single one of us has a different thing in life that we want, and yeah, you just have to find that thing. And yeah, so again, I make these videos to give a little motivation to people, and yeah, I'd love to speak, you know, to the younger generation, give people, you know, some help, because, you know, I was that person not too long ago where I was 18 with zero guidance. Never had too much guidance, but always been someone that's asked a million questions and always tried to copy and listen to people that I knew more than me and were wiser than me. I've always tried to study them, so I've always been good at just learning off of other people. So, but I'll keep making these if you guys like them. I mean, if no one's really getting anything out of these, I'll probably just kind of, you know, linger away and just continue on with my life. But if these are actually helping people, then I can continue speaking. And, you know, I go to work every day. I have, you know, a good bit of time to make a little video to talk. And yeah, so if you guys found this helpful in any way, subscribe, leave a comment, and yeah, good luck everybody, and have a great day.